for whatever reason, a lot of people get very confused on bonds and they don't really understand what bonds are. Well, first of all, this is going to be ironic when I share this with you. The annuities offered by insurance companies, which have no interest rate risk. In other words, they cannot go down in value due to the stock market going down or interest rates going up like bonds. So they do not have any risk, but they're investing the majority of their money, listen very closely, into bonds. And you say, but Tony, this makes no sense. How can insurance companies have all these bonds and at the same time, basically, they're not going to lose any money? Well, they put the bonds in what I would call a wrapper, so that if any of these individual bonds go down, it doesn't affect what they've guaranteed in the contract. You see, there's the mistake a lot of people make from Wall Street. They don't understand that annuities are contracts. And thus, because in writing, the insurance company guarantees you won't lose your principal and guarantees that if you ever want a lifetime income through mailbox money, they have to pay it. So again, annuities are protected by bonds, but they're not the same as owning an individual bond. And let me explain. So let's say person A has $100,000 to invest and they want to buy a single bond, and we'll say that bond has a 10-year maturity. Now, what does that really mean? Well, let's say at the time they purchased the bond, maybe the bond yield was 3%, and they bought this bond, let's say they bought it in 2020. Interest rates are very low. The bond was a pretty good bond, and they put $100,000 towards the bond. Now we go out here a couple of years. Here we are in June of 2022, and interest rates are spiking. So let's use this example. So you own a bond that pays 3%. Okay, you put $100,000 in. We fast forward to 2022, and all of a sudden, that looks like a 7, doesn't it, Aaron? There we go. At 2022, all of a sudden, interest rates are going up, and you could go back to that broker or whoever you're going to buy it from, and you could get that same bond with a different issue of 5%. Now, if you've got a bond at 3% and you want out of that bond, well, who's going to pay you full value for a bond at 3% when they can run down the street somewhere else and get one at 5%? I hope you're following me, because this is really, really important what we're getting ready to cover. So now that this gentleman says, oh yeah, I need my money, that bond, I'm just using examples, may only be worth $90,000, because if I'm the buyer of this bond and I know it's only paying 3%, well, I'm not going to pay $100,000 for it. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So the problem is, a lot of people, on paper, this is a loss. This bond is worth $90,000 in this example. Maturity means, though, if you hold on to that bond for the full 10 years, bonds have different maturity dates, for the full 10 years, that means you're actually going to get the original $100,000 back plus the 3% interest. So insurance companies have hundreds and hundreds of different bonds in their portfolios of different maturity rates, mortgages, all that type of thing that are fairly safe on the surface, but we put this annuity wrapper around it. Now, back to Mr. Ibbidson's article regarding fixed indexed annuities. What is a fixed indexed annuity and how do they differ? Well, again, they're backed by bonds. And we're going to use a fixed indexed annuity that has a 10-year surrender charge, okay? So a surrender charge on an annuity is really just a protection mechanism for the company. You see, you got to remember, the insurance company has paid me or somebody out there who sold this annuity a commission. Now, that commission is not paid by you out of pocket. It's kind of built into the chassis of the annuity. But here's what can happen. What if you come along, you got $100,000 here, and you need in June this year, you need your $100,000 back? Well, because they've put up all this money to set up the annuity, to pay commissions, they're going to take a big chunk of that back. That's called a surrender charge. Now, if you keep this all the way past the 10 years, same thing with a bond, there is no charge to liquidate it. Oh, and incidentally, a lot of people don't realize this. With most annuities, the majority of annuities, if you were to die during this term, let's say you died in the second year, your beneficiaries will get the full face value. They do usually, most annuities do this, will waive the surrender charge at death. So back to what Mr. Ibbidson's saying. Let's now imagine we got all this volatility. I'll just pick different stages throughout the next 10 years, and it kind of looks like this. Well, folks, if you're at or near retirement, that's pretty sketchy stuff because the stock market, bond market, it's all over the place. So this is why we don't recommend savers put 100% of their money over on Wall Street, because this is what you're going to get. Don't believe me? Just go back and look at the last 10 years of the stock market. So how do these insurance companies, through fixed indexed annuities, protect your money? Well, what they do, when the market goes up, we'll say this is year one. Let's say I'll kind of use red for effect. They'll pay a portion of that gain. And at that point, at the end of year one, let's say they paid 30% of whatever the market made. That's your new floor. This is what's really imperative to keep in mind. Now, when, not if, when the market goes down or bond rates go down, notice that floor is maintained. So whatever you made the prior year is locked in. You can never lose what you just made. Now, here's the beauty of a fixed indexed annuity. Notice with the market going up, it goes up again. And you say, well, how can it go up? Because it catches the market when it's down and automatically goes up when it's up. Again, you would need to see us. We can't give rates of return on this because there's so many different types of annuities. We're just trying to help you understand conceptually what's going on with these fixed indexed annuities. We see another downturn here. You have a new floor. And then finally, it goes up again when the market goes up. And this is why I refer to these fixed indexed annuities, even fixed interest annuities, something I refer to as sleep insurance. Folks, right now as we record this show in June of 2022, there's a lot of uncertainty out there with the stock market and bonds, and a lot of people are going to bed and waking up and they're almost nervous to even look at their accounts or turn on the TV. If you have a fixed annuity, either a fixed interest or fixed indexed annuity through Tony Walker Financial, that's not going to happen. These assets are protected. Now you might say, well, Tony, I know, but you mentioned those surrender charges. I keep hearing about those. How do we avoid those? Well, that's why we don't want to put more than 70% of your overall assets in annuities. We don't want the possibility of getting hit with some large charges. That's where we need to talk. And that's why I've created the split IRA. So the split IRA gives you the best of both worlds. The liquidity and possible growth through the Charles Schwab platform, and then the safety and security that the annuities offer. So if this looks like something you'd like to talk about further, if you're tired of watching the stock market go down faster than you can say Alan Greenspan, then we need to talk, and it's easy to do. So just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and when you get there, you're going to click on that Let's Get Started button. Or if the internet's not convenient and you just want to call us in person, just dial the toll-free number on your screen and ask to speak to one of our salaried fiduciaries or myself. We call it the free 10-minute fiduciary phone call, and if it warrants, we'll be happy to meet with you in person and see how this would fit within your personal situation.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed that video. If you'd like, check out these other clips, and be sure to hit that like button and that subscribe button for more videos.